The culture was there from the beginning. For us, culture was the priority and really why we do what we do. So for me and for my team, the first thing was understanding why we do things, and the culture and the purpose-driven organization that we have was the priority. Once you have that in place, then you can then manage everything else in relation to the culture. So you're hiring decisions, the suppliers that you're selecting, the clients that you're thinking of working with, the clients that you end up working with. So it's all kind of flowing into whether people understand what we're doing, and then also if they have the same passion to change the world and make a positive impact in our communities.
Welcome to Grow Think Tank. This is the one and only place where you will get insight from the founders and the CEOs of the fastest growing privately held companies. I am the host. My name is Gene Hammett. I help leaders and their teams navigate the defining moments of their growth. Are you ready to grow?
Today we look at the culture that it takes to grow your company fast. We have a special guest that's going to talk about results-based culture or results-driven culture, however you want to look at it. But our guest today is the managing director of Vector Global Logistics. They were number 1775 on the Inc. list this year. And Enrique Alvarez and I talk about results-driven culture, what that really means. Being results-driven, I think you'll be surprised at what they wrap around that, and the freedom that they give their employees and how that's contributed to the success of their company. We break it down into 3 simple parts for you so that you can look at that and see how that applies with your company and see if it's something that you want to align to. Now, Enrique and I talk about leadership. We talk about culture inside today's conversation. What I like most is talking about giving people the freedom and really allowing people to deliver the results on their own time and schedules. See what that is inside this program. Now, I would like to just invite you guys to consider how we serve our clients. The main thing is coaching. We have been working privately with founders, CEOs, and C-suite, sometimes director level clients with private coaching for more than a decade, and that's the core of our business. But we also work as a leadership development system inside of our clients where we're taking middle managers, directors, frontline leaders sometimes to improve their leadership skills, give them more confidence as a leader, and give them the cycles and coaching that they need to become stronger, more powerful leaders. Now, if either of those interest you, I'd love for you to reach out to us at genehammett.com and check out what we're up to over at the website. And if anything there strikes you fancy and you really want to lean into that or have a chat to see if we can help you continue the growth, create more predictability and scale inside your company, just make sure you check out genehammett.com. Now, here's the interview with Enrique. Enrique, how are you?
Gene, I'm great. Thank you so much for having me. This is going to be fun.
We are going to have a great conversation. Before we dive in to talk about culture and what makes your company grow so fast, let's talk about your company, Vector Global Logistics.
That's correct. So Vector Global Logistics, a very unique results-based international company that's in charge of moving products from one part of the world to another. So we're into shipping and, generally speaking, into supply chain. So we offer a very boutique service to clients in specific industries that value our very high level service. So it's usually automotive, aerospace, renewable energy, and companies that kind of share our values and cultures, and purpose-driven organizations. And we're some parts of the world, they are what we do is called freight forwarding. Some other parts is just 3PL, and that's kind of what Vector really is.
Well, we're going to talk about the culture that makes you guys who you are, but I want to take this moment. You've got an insight to our supply chain. We've been specifically with cars. The value of used cars in some cases is more than new cars because of supply chain issues. When will this relieve us a little bit of this price pressure?
Well, it's a really, really good question. I think that if you look back on the last couple of years that we've had, and you ask these questions again, I think no one really has the answer. Is the answer. It's getting better. Supply chains around the world have been completely transformed, not only by the pandemic, but now the war and some other things like congestion in the ports and the lack of enough trucking drivers here in the US. So to answer your question, I think now the main struggle in the automotive industry has been microchips. And so all these industries are so interrelated these days, and all the countries very interrelated, that if something happens somewhere, it will very much impact everyone. So I know I didn't really give you an answer. I think it's getting better. It's hard to tell when it would be over. I think that at least another year.
Well, it's good to know that there is a chance for it to get better. I am excited to talk to you about what makes your company grow so much. So you guys made the Inc. list. Was this the first year you guys made it, or had
It
you made
is the first
before?
year for us. We were not only surprised but very proud that we made it. And yes, it's been amazing.
Well, I know that you and our team did some research together, and we were talking about your unique culture. What do you think makes your culture unique?
Well, it's basically three things. One is results oriented, which basically means you take the space and time component out of the equation and you measure performance by results and results only. What this basically means is the people don't have to come here at a certain time. They don't have to leave at a certain time. They don't have to come to the office at all. They have unlimited time off. And so that has really put a lot of pressure into managing performance, and it has put a lot of pressure into delivering results, which makes us unique in that regards. The second thing that makes us unique is our purpose to give back. So for every container, we're donating to different causes. Here in the US, we have partnered with an organization called Serve, and we're donating 50 meals to children in Kenya. In Mexico, we have partnered with an organization called Canica, and we're supporting children with cancer and their families. And in Chile, we have partnered with an organization called Juanil, and we've been supporting their efforts too, which is with children with special needs. And the third thing that makes us very unique, especially in the supply chain logistics industry, is our overall organizational structure. We're structured in very small, self-driven, fully automated teams that allows us to be very dynamic, flexible, and respond quickly to challenges. Those three things are kind of our main competitive advantages, but culture being the main one for sure.
Enrique, is this your first entrepreneurial venture, or have there been others?
No, this is really my first official one, and full speed. Yeah, no, this is the really first one. I've done a couple of things on the side, but it was never like this committed, right? So
You got 150 employees now. When did you really start focusing on culture?
oh, the culture was there from the beginning. For us, culture was the priority and really why we do what we do. So for me and for my team, the first thing was understanding why we do things, and the culture and the purpose-driven organization that we have was the priority. Once you have that in place, then you can then manage everything else in relation to the culture. So you're the hiring decisions, the suppliers that you're selecting, the clients that you're thinking of working with, the clients that you end up working with. So it's all kind of flowing into whether people understand what we're doing, and then also if they have the same passion to change the world and make a positive impact in our communities.
Now, Enrique just talked about culture from the beginning. Now, you might think he's wrong. You might think he's absolutely right. But let me give you my perspective on this, of why it's so important to think from the beginning. Because our companies scale because of the people that we hire. And if we hire the wrong people, then it's hard to scale. If those people are not aligned with the values of the organization, with the values of the leadership team, the founders, even you're going to have problems, and you're going to have to replace that talent. And it takes more time to replace talent. It takes time to train them up. So you want to make sure you're hiring right. Does that mean you have a director of culture as your first hire? No. Don't be ridiculous. Now, some people do that very early inside this. I remember some clients started at number 4 employee or number 5, 6, 7, but you can actually work on culture from the beginning with just you and your founders, or just you and your executive team, or you and your core people, deciding what you stand for, really being clear about the values of the organization, and letting it grow from there, letting it kind of create some momentum inside your marketplace, get some traction, if you will, and then go back to hire the formal people to help you when you get to a 20, 30 people. That's what I believe inside of culture. It does start very, very early, much earlier than most people think. And you want to make sure that you have a values alignment as you continue to grow. Each person you hire matters. Back to Enrique. I bet a lot of people listening in here go, first entrepreneurial venture, growing fast, starts working with culture first, because most of us look at the business and go, do people want to buy what we have? Do we have a product market fit? And I'm not saying you didn't do those things, but you really put some importance on culture. So why is that? Did that come from your experience in other jobs you had?
Well, I think it comes from two places, really. One, it's just my upbringing. I was fortunate enough to be born and raised by my parents. They both amazing people. I mean, in terms of being hardworking, they set a good example for me. And we always learned from both my dad and my mom that just giving back was important. I feel very fortunate in what I have now. I know that the things that I have in most part is because I had the opportunities, and I had the opportunities because I was lucky. I was born to a really nice family and good parents. So I feel personally responsible to give back and pay it forward and make sure that other people have more opportunities, or at least better opportunities, if I can help in any way. So that's the first thing. The second is because we strongly believe that the few caring people can and will change the world. And we thought that logistics was a very unique place to start, because everything that we do, from the cameras that we're using, the microphone, the pen, everything that we're using has a logistics component to it. So we thought that could be a very, very good start to really make a positive impact in the world. Right now, after many years developing this culture, after many employees hired, after many clients that are still working with us, I can tell you that it's a huge competitive advantage as well. So from a very strategic standpoint, having a purpose-driven organization has allowed us to open the doors to certain companies and corporations that we would not have otherwise, including talent. Because for us, recruiting, we're a service company. So is shipping in general. And so not owning any assets or not really selling any particular products, being a purpose-driven organization has allowed us to bring the best talent out there. And we're very happy with the team we have.
I don't want to make assumptions around this, Enrique, but you talked about that as number two inside your unique culture. Talking about some of the stuff you're doing in Kenya, Mexico, and Chile. Are you referring to that as the reason why you're able to grow fast, is because you have this purpose-driven piece to it, or is there something else that you haven't described?
No, I think that's number one reason why we're growing this fast. And the other, of course, is the results mentality. So when you take the time and space component out of the equation, you're measuring performance by results. You're 100% committed to focusing on the things that matter the most, and that's it, right? So as said, way before the pandemic, since we started the company, my team didn't have to come to the office. We didn't have like a start time at 9 in the morning and a finish time at 5, which, if you're in international logistics, doesn't make much sense, right? Because we have clients in South Africa, in Germany, in China, in Australia, and 5 p.m. Atlanta time, which is where we are now, it doesn't matter to them. They just need their products to be delivered. So I think if you put those two things together, I think that would be the answer to the question. Is very unique results-based mentality, and then having this purpose-driven organization has helped us grow tremendously fast.
I really like this results-based mentality. I feel like there's probably some of that within my own team. We have 7 people now, we're growing, and I told them I will never take a time card or take a look at this. Now, I do want to look at some of the things they're doing and some of the projects they're working on and things they finish, which really is aligned with, the results-based project. What would we see across the conversations or meetings that are different in a results-based mentality versus a traditional work?
Well, and I'll speak a little bit more about my industry, right? So international logistics or supply chain, because that's really what I know about the most. It's really this commitment, because people on one hand understand that they need to deliver results, and they have a very clear performance indicators. So they know that if they want to accomplish their goals, they have to basically just perform and do the things that they say they're going to do when they say they're going to do it. On the other hand, I think that it's harder for people under a results-based culture or mentality like ours to just cruise by, because we don't care. It's not about FaceTime. It's not about getting to the office early. It's not about leaving late. So I think it basically gives the time back to people that work with us, which makes them not only more effective and efficient, but at the same time makes their lives a little bit easier, and they can enjoy other things that are more important than working, like their families or self-development or just guitar lessons or playing soccer or whatever it might be. I mean, I think that giving that time back to employees makes them just simply better employees in general.
Well, I know that we've all had some challenges. Many of my clients have had challenges with the flexibility needed to get this younger generation. Sounds like you've figured out something here. When we look at this results driven, I know sometimes there might be some things that get challenged inside this. Have you thought of anything that you could share with us that it's like, okay, we had to work through this issue or issues inside of a results based mentality?
Yes, no, and it's a really good question. In general, I think it's never going to be done. So it's a work in progress. So what I mean by that is that it's not we have this culture, we have to live by this culture and standards every day. And every day is you have to put a little bit of work into this results only mentality. Some of those things that are somewhat challenging are, well, what do you do when someone wants to be offline and then just take some vacation, like completely disconnected from the company? And so we have to talk about, well, we need to make sure that they communicate with their teams and make sure their team supports them. And so there are tons of things that are still happening on a day-to-day basis that you need to figure out, you need to talk through. And so it's a constant kind of trial and error of what works and what doesn't work. And of course, the things that work, you have to share it openly with everyone throughout the company. But in general, I think this culture makes everyone more participative in what we do and who we are as a company. And I think that gives us, again, a good competitive advantage over other companies.
Enrique has been talking about a results-driven culture. And one of the things I want to share with you of how you can have a conversation that's really results-driven that will change the dynamics between you and the people in your team is a lot of time people will talk about the work in progress. What work are you currently involved in? What's got your attention, if you will? And that's a good conversation. We have to have those conversations. But what I want you to make sure you focus on is what work is being completed. That's the results side of this. I had a friend of mine who wrote a book called Is It Done Done? And what it refers to is just a very simple thing. Not is it done as in it's almost done. Done is it's completely done. There's nothing else to do. It's all wrapped up. It's shipped to the client and we can't change it now. It's already done. So are you talking about the things that are done, or are you talking about the things that are work in progress? You can hide a lot with work in progress, but you can't hide when you're talking about done. One example of that is sales teams. They don't necessarily talk a lot about the details of the prospects that are in, but they do talk about the wins that they got and they celebrate those things. So let them start by celebrating what they've completed, what they've done. And that will give you more of a results-driven culture. My perspective to help you take this a little bit further. Back to Enrique. Well, I'm excited to dive in a little bit more on your own leadership style. So we'll spend the rest of our time here just talking about how you have led through this. Let's start with this one. Is there a mistake that you have overcome in the last few years that you're willing to share with us? Not the things that you're currently, dealing with, but the things that you can look back and say, you know what, I had to think differently to solve this problem.
Yes, and well, I got to start by saying that I've made not only one, but like 100 mistakes, right? I mean, it's part of, I think, the entrepreneurial path. And then I'm very open to feedback, but I have made millions of mistakes and we keep making mistakes. And one of the things that we have as part of the company is we encourage people to take on challenging situations and projects. And so we are okay making mistakes. And we actually, I wouldn't say that we encourage people to make mistakes, but we do encourage them to take chances and learn from mistakes. So that's very important. Now, in terms of a mistake that I could share that I believe it's been important for our company and hopefully other people can learn from it, is just being taking too long to fire people. And it's something that I don't like doing. I just not good at it. I would rather not fire anyone. But one of the mistakes that I've made, especially early on, is that I just kept people that I knew did not share the same culture or values, or that I knew that they were not 100% performing to where I needed that person to perform. And that's a mistake, right? That's a huge mistake, because all of a sudden one bad apple starts to spoil the whole team, and they see that you're not as congruent as you would like them to see, and anyways, it's just a super slippery slope. I'm pretty sure that you have been familiar with this, and that's one of the things that if there's anyone out there, an entrepreneur or otherwise a leader out there that asks for my advice, I would say once you know why you're doing what you're doing, and once you know what are the key performance indicators, just be very critical about it. And you don't have to be disrespectful. Yeah, you don't have to be angry. You don't, I mean, because I know that this could be considered, I guess, it's not fun. It's not going to be a good thing to fire someone, but you can do it in a good way, respectfully and professionally, but still you have to react quickly and fire people quicker.
I 100% agree with you. I've made this problem before. I've kind of, wrestled with it. I think a lot of people have probably dated people too long. That was
Yeah.
more of my issue, because it was like, well, they're a good person, and
Right. And you're trying to
they'll
help
change.
and coach and
But within our employees, I'm glad you brought this up, because it's just something that happens. I truly believe when you have someone that isn't in alignment with the values, they're probably not having the experience at work that they want to have either.
right.
And you are setting them free to go to a place that is a better fit for them.
Absolutely. Yes, absolutely.
One last question inside of all this, Enrique. You're always leveling up as a leader. I think you have a coach, you're part of EO. Why do you invest in these outside kind of resources to continue the growth that you have as a leader and through your company? What kind of value does it hit the bottom line is what I'm asking.
Yeah, so I feel I do that because I'm aware I have tons of areas of opportunity, right? So in order for me to continue pushing this company forward, and in order for me to continue working with the amazing people that I'm hiring, I have to invest in my own personal development. Because again, I'm very happy and humbled and proud of being part of this team, because everyone in our company is very smart and committed and self-driven. So we kind of push each other in a way. And so for me, taking time to improve myself, taking time to get feedback, not only from the people that I work with, but from external sources like my agents or partners or suppliers or coaches or EO, for example, which is a great source for growth, in particular when it comes to personal growth, that can be transmitted into your business growth. I think it's important, and I feel like it's part of who I am, and I like feedback. And again, I know, and I'm very, very aware that I'm not perfect, far from it. So I take anything that I can get as people give me feedback.
Well, I appreciate you sharing the insights behind your results-based culture, what that looks like, and how it's impacted your company. Enrique, thank you for being here on the show.
Gene, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much for having me, and thank you very much for what you do. I feel like what you're doing and sharing these experiences is very important as well. So thank you for what you do.
See you next time.
Take care.
Wow, what a great interview. I love having people on the show that have been through it and have come up with some unique ways to see their world. Now, one of the things that was really interesting is he actually started with culture in mind. Most people think about, the technologies and the customers and the problems that they're solving and money, but he wanted to create a place where people were value aligned and they were purpose driven. And so he created everything that we talked about today very early in the life cycle of this business. And that's one reason why they're so successful today so quickly. Now, just keep that in mind as you continue to grow your organization, that if there's some gaps inside your culture and leadership, you want to make sure that you're plugging those gaps. If we can help you in any way through either our private coaching of executives or the leadership development that we have, where we're doing coaching and training across the middle level managers across your organization, we'd love to help you. Just go to genehammett.com and check out some of the offers we have. As always, lead with courage. We'll see you next time.